Hi lovelies and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana and here is Bellistic Gist. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my
unbelievable, but it's entirely true. I'll go first.
I was debating on talking about this because I don't want to sound crazy, one, but two, I know I'm not the only person who's seen this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start. So when I was about 9 or 10, me and my mom were sitting at the kitchen table talking, and I had the view of the living room, and then I could also see into the entryway of the hallway that led to all the bedrooms. So we're talking, and I just so happened to glance over my mother's shoulder, and that's when I saw the Hat Man. If you don't know what the Hat Man is, just look up pictures because you can't miss it. And at the time I had never heard or seen anything like this, but I look over her shoulder and it was in the hallway entryway, peeking from around the corner. A tall, dark shadow. You cannot see through it, and it had a large brimmed hat on. I froze, and my mom immediately noticed that something was wrong, with my face, and she goes, "What is it?" She turns around and she looks back at me and she's like, "What is that?" And so I immediately am like, "Oh my gosh, she sees it too. I'm not the only person seeing this thing." So now we both are looking at it, and it's just standing there. It won't move. It's not like one of those times where, oh, I just saw something at the corner of my eye. It was there, and it was staying there, and it stood there for, I swear, about 30 seconds. It was there, and then it just slowly backed out of view into the hallway. As soon as that thing was gone, I jumped up out of my seat, and both me and my mother go over there, and we open every single door in that hallway, and there's absolutely nobody. There's no one there. My dad was working at a late shift, and my sister was at our grandparents' house sleeping over. We both saw it, and to this day, we both still talk about it. It stayed with me to this day. It's one thing that I cannot shake off, and I know I'm not the only one who's seen it.
Me have one for y'all. I haven't shared this one yet because it really freaks me out. Same as the other 100 stories I have stored up in my noggin that I just haven't been able to bring myself to talk about on here yet. Back in 2012, I was still in high school, and I had an older friend who was a stay-at-home mom who had 4 kids. She was my best friend at the time. I spent a lot of time at her house helping her with her kids, helping her clean her house, just hanging out, having fun. She lived in this old white farmhouse out in the middle of the woods. And yes, we do live in the Appalachian Mountains. But the house always gave me the creeps. One day when my mom took me and dropped me off there, she was like, "Hey, my best friend used to live in this house." She said, "Has she experienced anything paranormal yet?" And she went on to tell me that one night her best friend was asleep in that house. She too was a mother. And so her bedroom was where my friend's little boy's bedroom was. So as she was sleeping one night, she was there alone and her husband was not home. She woke up to the covers being ripped off of her in the middle of the night. So of course she freaked out and she packed her bags immediately and moved out. She got herself and her kids out of the house that night and never went back. So of course I shared this knowledge with my then best friend, and I was like, "Has anything crazy like that happened to you here?" And she said, "No, we haven't really noticed anything at all." I don't know if me talking about it just made things start happening again, or if she just started noticing after that. But that very night we were sitting there talking, and we heard a Christmas bear going off in the attic. Like, she used the attic for storage, and she had a stuffed animal bear up there, and it played Christmas music if you squeezed its hand. So we're sitting there in this creepy old silent house. I'm sorry, I'm shaking. I'm freaked out. Just talking about it still really scares me. But we hear the Christmas music coming from the attic, and we're like, what the hell? So she has her husband go and check it out, and nothing's up there, but yeah, the Christmas bear was playing music. So after that, stuff just really started popping off. Walking past her little boy's room just gave you like the worst vibe ever. There were times we would be sitting in the living room, which was like on the other side of the wall to the little boy's room, when none of the kids were home. and you'd hear like their fire trucks making noise and playing music and being thrown across the room or rolled across the floor. And remember, that was the room that my mom's best friend had lived in, and the blankets got ripped off of her in the middle of the night. One day we were sitting in her bed folding clothes. We were going through stuff, so she had a bunch of stuff sitting on her dresser. I mean, it was like piled up with stuff. We're sitting there talking, laughing, and all of a sudden every single item that is on that dresser gets thrown across the room. So hard that things were broken. That moment right there was probably one of the scariest things I think I've ever experienced. Whatever it was had a lot of force. And although they never noticed anything paranormal before I brought it up, I think it's worth mentioning that at one point in time, her and her boys decided to switch bedrooms. During the 2 weeks that they had switched bedrooms, my friend completely lost her mind and had to go check herself into an insane asylum because she wanted to end her life. When she got back home, they switched back bedrooms and she was fine. I truly think whatever demonic energy was in that room was just like preying on her and draining like all of her energy or something. I don't know. Yeah, I have so many other stories like that. If y'all are interested in hearing them, let me know.
I live in Savannah, Georgia. If you know, you know, but basically they say it's the most haunted city in America. I don't know if I entirely always believed that, but I do now, and I have some good stories, so I'm going to tell you one right now, and I might stitch this and tell more. Anyways, so my sophomore year of college, I moved into an old Victorian home with some roommates, and immediately when we got there, we all knew it was haunted. It was just like a feeling of, you're not alone in this house, there are other people here, whatever, but it never felt malicious or all that scary or anything negative at all. It was like an old man energy, and you'd hear him like walking on the floor late at night, and he would always go to the bathroom, and then in the bathroom you'd hear like grunting, and we kind of thought like, oh my god, it's this old man that is just so annoyed that 4 college women are living in his house and like having boys over and drinking alcohol underage, whatever. That's what we thought. And then these coins started showing up in the toilet, and they were always pennies. None of us really carried change. This was also during COVID, so like we weren't having cash on us, like we just weren't. And we noticed that they were all from the same year. So we had this jar behind the toilet that had all of these coins from the same year, and it was just weird. But we had the plumber come check it out. No one could ever say why it was happening. It just was not something that was explainable. Whatever, right? Other weird stuff would happen in the house, like we would all have dreams that would kind of correlate to each other, or they were the same dream. And then we would wake up with scratches, and they were not like human or pet scratches, they were like 3 scratches, and we'd all have them in the same spot. And that was really spooky-ooky. And yeah, like that all happened, and that was terrible. But we all still were like, okay, it's fine, we can ignore the noises, it'll all be good. Girls, okay, so my friend AJ comes over to the house. She does not believe in ghosts. She does now, but she did not believe in ghosts at the time. And we had this trash can that was sitting across the room that had one of those lids that swivels like this. You know what I'm talking about. And it just started on its own swiveling back and forth. And AJ was like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening? Me having seen a little bit more of that kind of stuff around the house, I was like, Ethan, stop it. My boyfriend's trying to fuck with me. I'm trying to tell a story. Ethan. Anyways.
Can you pause?
No, I'm telling a story.
But
Okay, anyways, we noticed the trash can kind of moving on its own back and forth. And AJ doesn't believe in ghosts, but she is like semi-spiritual, so she was like, can you just go light some incense? Like, I feel uncomfortable with this. I go in my room, I grab incense, I come outside, and I'm trying to light the incense. It was a lighter I had bought that day. It won't light. Like, whatever I do, it will not light. Oh my god, I still get chills thinking about this. And all of a sudden, I hear AJ go, Kat, help me, what's happening to me? And she's doubled over on the chair like this. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's across the room from me. The minute that me and her make eye contact, immediate like tunnel vision, complete tunnel vision. The worst feeling I have ever felt in my life, like impending doom. It basically felt like my body was saying, get the fuck out of there, go, run. But AJ is sitting there, and I'm over here like, oh my god, I need to run, and AJ is like toppled over and can't move, and I was a bad friend. I ran. I don't know what, like, it was such a guttural feeling of get the fuck out of here right now or else something terrible is going to happen that I've ever felt in my life. I've never felt anything like that since or before. Anyways, finally, I run downstairs. My dog runs with me. And then my roommate went upstairs and grabbed AJ. And we were on the front porch. We both experienced the same thing. We felt nauseous, like the worst feeling. I can't even describe it properly because it was terrible. And then my dog would not, basically like a circle radius on the sidewalk and the street, my dog would not walk past like that circle radius and go inside the house. We had to have a friend come over and cleanse it before my dog would even cross that like pathway. And we did not sleep there. None of us slept there that night. And we almost had a priest come to the house because it got so bad. And I forgot to mention, the next night that I slept over, from the office space that we were in, I had this super vivid nightmare of a man in like a full gimp suit crawling into my room. I still don't know if like I maybe was awake for that, but it was so vivid and it was the scariest dream I've ever had. I've never had anything like that since. And there are other stories, but there you go. That's like that's the one that keeps me up at night.
This is not so much ghost story as it is paranormal. And is it really paranormal or just something going on with my own mind? I'll tell the story. You can decide for yourself. This goes back to when I was in my 20s, back in the early 1980s. And a bunch of us young, hard-working guys decided that we wanted to go out and have a party on a Saturday night. Now, we were a pretty responsible group of guys, so we picked out ourselves a designated driver, and we set it up so that he'd take care of everything, and the rest of us were good to go. So we went down to our bar, and we proceeded to do just that. Well, pretty deep into the party, there was an emergency call came into the bar, and our designated driver had to leave. It was a serious emergency. I don't remember what, but there was no getting around it. So he had to leave, which left the rest of us in a pretty stuck position, because this was before there was Uber, and in this particularly rural town that I was in, there was no taxi service. So some of the guys were able to find their way home, me not so much. And I made a bad decision. I thought I could make it. It was probably only a 3 to 5 mile drive from that bar to where I lived. Got in the car, started driving home, and sure enough, I passed out behind the wheel. And I was awakened shortly thereafter by the blaring of horns, and I mean very big horns, and I woke up and I am getting ready to dead center punch an 18-wheeler. Now, my hands were at about 10 and 2. My hands were probably about 1 and 3. I tried to turn the wheel to avoid the collision, and that steering wheel would not turn. And I looked down there, and in between my hands was another set of hands that were not mine. They were long, they were about twice as long as mine, bony, grayish blue with black fingernails. They looked like those Halloween gloves that you can buy at Spirit Halloween. They looked just exactly like that, but they were on that steering wheel. And the part that I've never got over is if those hands were on that steering wheel, where was the rest of the body? I couldn't see that. So I try and turn this wheel, it will not move. The gas pedal is pegged all the way down, even though my feet are not on any of the pedals. Well, the adrenaline kicked in. I was a pretty big old farm boy back in those days. I grabbed that wheel and cranked it just as hard as I could. And the instant I did, those hands disappeared. The gas pedal let off. I slapped the brakes, but I instantly lost control of the vehicle. Went off the road, down through a ditch, and right through a farmer's wooden fence. Came to a stop in his field. Got out, took a look. Yeah, I made it. I was alive. I was scared as could be, but I was alive and looked like my car could drive. Well, right about that time, pickup pulled up behind me. 2 guys got out, came down, checked on me. Yeah, I'm okay. Looks like my vehicle's drivable, blah, blah, blah. You okay, son? Yes, I am. They took off, and I could tell that they knew I'd been drinking. And I could pretty much predict what was going to happen next, and sure enough, real shortly after they left, A state patrolman pulls up. He comes out, looks at what's going on, comes down, talks to me. Yes, sir. I'm fine. Vehicle's drivable. One car accident. Blah, blah, blah. Make you nice, right? This old state patrolman, he looks at me, at that time I was 6 foot tall and about 235 pounds. This guy looks at me. He reaches over, grabs a handful of my shirt with his left hand, lifts me up, and looks me right dead in the eye and says, son, you get home and you make sure I do not regret giving you a second chance. Yes, sir. Don't have to tell me twice, sir. Thank you, sir. I headed home. It was just a few hundred yards down the road, quite honestly. Went in, dove in bed, got me a couple hours of very necessary sleep, woke up, choked down a couple of cups of instant coffee, grabbed the farm truck and all the tools I needed, and headed right back to where my car had gone through that fence. I stopped up there on the road, on the embankment, ran down there, tore out the old broken boards, grabbed my rakes and shovels, fixed up his pasture as best I could, grabbed some boards, hammered them back in. Fortunately, everything was white. It was all whitewash, easily matched. I painted it up. I was working just as quietly and as quickly as I possibly could because I wanted to get out of there before the crack of dawn and before anybody knew what had happened. So I'm packing up the last of my tools into the truck, getting ready to leave, and I hear behind me the slow clap. I turn around and there sat the farmer on his porch. And yeah, old Betsy was leaning up against the wall right next to him. He looks at me and says, I really appreciate you taking responsibility for that, young man. I'm glad I didn't have to look you up later. Yes, sir, I'm glad of that too. I looked down at him. What could I say? I said, well, sir, I am sorry for any inconveniences. Does this look good enough? And he looks at me and says, yes, sir, that looks mighty fine. You have yourself a good morning. So I climbed back into my truck, headed home, and started my day. But that is the story of the very last time that I ever drove under the influence. Happy old boy.
Okay, just bear with me on this one because this is a little bit of a long one. But I've posted 2 other stitches because I've got a lot of ghost stories. But this one's up here because I also didn't experience it by myself. I was with a group of friends. So I'm going to be talking about a place called Crawford Road in Virginia. And this place was notorious among the teenagers. We're going back to, I'm about 17 years old, and rumors spread about this place. Like, oh, this is one of the spots to go to if you want to get spooked out, and it's one of the haunted places in the area. So, think back 2016 summertime, okay? Me and my friends, we go out and we're like, you know what? Let's go hit up this place. Let's go see if it's actually creepy. So it took us a while to get there, and this road has no streetlights. It is one of those roads where you need your brights on because, you can't see anything. It's just pitch dark. And there's woods on either side. And this bridge is on this road, and you drive under the bridge, and that is the spot that everyone talks about, is this bridge. So we get there, and we're already creeped out. One, because it's just completely dark. There's no lights, there's no nothing. And if you were to continue down that road, it would lead into a neighborhood, but it was still dark, still no street lights till a certain point. And so we get out of the car, and our dumb selves decide, you know what, let's go on top of this creepy bridge. And so on the top of this bridge is an old road that's no longer being used by the public. So we decided to just go walking on it because, why not? And there's this sign up there that had pew-pew holes in it. And we were just like, oh, that's so stupid. Someone came out here and, shot up the sign. And we were like, let's just continue walking in the dark by the woods. So we're walking around for probably 5 to 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the woods, they go completely silent. You know how during the summertime, the woods are just alive with sound? Crickets, birds, frogs. It's just really noisy. Cicadas. Like, there's just so much going on. Well, it was one of those times where we're all just talking, and then one by one, we stopped talking because the woods got quiet. And my friend goes, why did it get so quiet? And we're all standing there. And then we hear to the left of us footsteps in the woods. Like just feet away, we hear footsteps. So we start booking it the other way. All of us start running because we have absolutely no clue why the woods got so silent. Usually that is just not a good thing. So we ran all the way back to the top of the bridge, and we got back to the top of the bridge. Didn't seem like anything was following us. But then when we got to the car, we walked back down to get in the car because we're all spooked. And then we hear crying. Someone was, or something was crying, and it sounded like the weeping crying. When you have like your hands over your face, like it was muffled crying. And we're all sitting there for a second. All of us are hearing this. It's not just me. And listen, I've seen enough horror movies, okay? I'm not going to be the stupid one. And neither were any of my other friends. We're like, yep, time to go. Let's get out of here. Let's go and get in the car. So we all pile in and we start driving away from the bridge back home. And as we start to drive down this road, there's this truck that comes up behind us. And he's got his brights on and he's tailgating us. And he is, like inches away from the vehicle we're in. And all of us are we're getting pissed off. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy's such a jerk. We tried to move over and then he just moved over with us. Like, we were trying to let him around or her, we don't really know. And no, just being a total jerk. And then we reached the end of the road to where this the stop sign is, and then the lights behind us go off, and we're like, oh, finally this guy turned his brights off. And then we turn around. I'm not driving, but me and my friends turn around, and there's no truck. There's nothing. No truck, no lights, nothing. And this is a road that is forest on either side, okay? And it's one way this way, one way that way. There's nowhere this truck would have gone. So we're all freaking out at this point because we're like, we heard footsteps in the woods, we heard crying, and then a truck was basically chasing us, and now it's just disappeared. So now we're really we're freaking out. Like, as one should. I feel like this would be a normal reaction. But then, of course, we all end up getting home safe. The truck never reappeared. But this is where it gets crazy. We ended up doing a little bit of research when we got back home because we were like, what the heck? What the heck did we just experience? Not only are we not the only ones that experienced a ghost truck, we also weren't the only ones who have heard crying, and the supposed crying is coming from something that had happened a long time ago, where there was a slave woman and her child was thrown off of this bridge intentionally by her owners. And then we found out that the crying is most likely like her, that's what they suppose. And then someone had jumped off of this bridge before. And then we found out something happened the day, or I should say the night before we were actually there. We found out on the news the next day that someone had gotten murked with a pew-pew literally the night before we had gone there. Those bullet holes that we saw on the sign, that's what it was from. And to this day, we never went back there.
I seriously love this. A lot has been happening in this world. Like, it's just so scary. When I saw the videos, the stitches, I was like, wow, a lot of things have been happening. There is something that actually prompts me to stitch all of this video. I think I'm just gonna post a lady, later on after this one has gone up, maybe tomorrow or something. So this lady is actually a black lady. She talked about how, the ancestors was actually hurting some people that actually owned slaves before. So, at the course of my research and, the historical thing I do and all of that, I used to ask myself this question: is it that after all the slavery thing has been done, after, every the slave owners, received reparations and all of that, and everything was just so good, is it that those, enslaved people, our forefathers and ancestors and all of that, they actually took everything that actually happened to them to heart, like nothing like revenge or something or nothing? So this sister that I came encounter on my For You shared a video. I did not, put it up here. I think I'm gonna do that later. She talked about how she was actually working for someone. So she got a job, a care job, and on reaching there, the man in question is in his 90s. So this man sees things. He has an amnesia, he sees things, and the person that actually got the job for her was like, okay, this is his routine and all of that, and explained a little bit of the man's illness and all of that. So she talked about one day when she came to work, and she saw this man laying down, and he was so cold. He was very cold. But before then, she noticed that the house was somehow, and the mirrors in the house were all covered with cloth. And she asked herself, oh no, it's not my business, I just come here to do my work and move. So on getting there the previous day, she saw that the man was laying underneath, like like a store, and she was just calling the man, and the man was like, okay, I'm down here. So when she reached to the man, the Caucasian man that is in his 90s, she asked the man, are you okay? Why are you laying on the floor? What is happening? Are you all right? The man grabbed her hand, and when the man grabbed her hand, he was all cold and chill. So the man decided to open up to her, telling her a story that actually shook me. This story is that he has two brothers. So during the time of slavery, he used to have a slave man that works for him in his farm and plantation. And he was actually newly married to his wife. So this, fast forward, the wife took in, 9 months later, the wife, was in labor. He decided to call his mom and his two brothers to come over, come help out, because he needs to go to the farm and actually get things done. He's expecting a baby. So when on reaching there, the mother and the two brothers came around, helping with the midwife and all of that. The wife gave birth, but this wife gave birth to a white person, like, mixed. And his mother was very angry, the brothers also. And the mother was like, that means the wife had been, cheating with the black man that works for them in the plantation. and they did whatsoever they did to that, So when the husband came, he was like, where is my, and the woman was, that baby is not yours. And he was like, where is the baby? The mother said, we've done, and the mother was like, you know what we mean? That means the man has been sleeping with your wife. I know how it is during those days. These slaves, they don't have a say. Their masters is on them, their wife is on them, they lure them, they do whatever. If you don't do it, you are in trouble and all of that. And these two brothers decided to go to the farm and, did the same thing they did to the man. So fast forward, after all those years, this man, the brothers, ended up mysteriously, then he started seeing this man and his son all over the place until when he's up to 90 years. This man and his son keep on coming and, taunting him, until when he now told the girl they are even here and all of that, and this girl, screamed. Before you know it, she ran outside to go call a nurse, a doctor or something. When the nurse checked this man, the nurse told her that the man has passed a long time ago. And she was like, this is the same man that will have been talking to me, trying to, this man actually told me so many things. And the nurse was like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Then she don't notice that the mirrors that was closed and all of that, all of a sudden is not open. And when she passed, she saw like a huge man, and the man just passed through the mirror, and oh my god, it was so creepy. I cannot even say all the stories because when I was listening to it, I was oh my gosh. To tell you that there are things on this earth. There are so many things on this earth. Like, we just have to keep on praying, keep on believing in God, and become good people, good version of ourselves. Anyways, love this. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that. And I will see you when I upload the next one.